We're going to talk about code switching. I was going to talk about bathrooms and how awkward they can be when you look like me and how terrifying they can be. The problem with my walking into a bathroom, aside from the occasional homophobe, and there's nothing I can say that'll help them, the problem is there's a very real chance a woman will mistake me for a man. And the idea that a man would walk into a bathroom dressed just like me, but intending to do harm, isn't even a little crazy. I know not all men, but not me either. And it took a long time for me to realize that women are sometimes scared of me, not because they're homophobic, but because at a glance I look like you. It's okay, I have 3 nieces, and they've all gone through a gender policing phase, and every one of them has informed me that this is definitely a boy haircut, and these are not girl clothes. I know I look enough like you that you guys will occasionally follow me into a bathroom without checking the sign. And there's a committee debating how many points that's worth, but I'm definitely winning. There's a lot of advantages to looking like me. I haven't been catcalled since I was a teenager, unless it's by gay men. Truly, thank you. I can take public transportation. I don't worry about being groped. I can read a book in a bar, and no one interrupts me to tell me I should really check out David Foster Wallace. But other times, when it's dangerous to look like me, I code switch. And all that is a nifty term for being aware of who's around you, and you adjust your language or your behavior to fit your surroundings. Anyone who grew up overseas or bounced between cultures probably learned how to do this early. If you've ever worked a customer service job, you probably know how to code switch. You might call it customer service voice. I used to work at Starbucks, and there's this distinct, "Ma'am, I'm so sorry your coffee's not as hot as fresh lava. Please let me remake that for you." You either master it or you spend your entire day getting yelled at. You learn it waiting tables or you're not making tips. Anyone who served in the military learned an entirely new personality in basic training, but code switching is an art form. That's why you see guys 3 months out of basic and they're still standing at attention for the bartender. They never learned how to switch back to civilian. But for the rest of us, it's just inadvertent. Every immigrant knows how to do it, every person of color, every gay person. And for most of us, learning how to code switch is a matter of basic survival. I met the gayest man I've ever known when I was in the Air Force. His name's Jay. But in uniform, he was butcher than I'll ever be. Because God forbid a straight man think Jay was a homosexual, or worse, Jay was checking him out. He was in for a beating, and that was the mild outcome. But we'd drive to a gay bar in the city, and Jay, the butch airman, would turn into a sashaying twink right in front of me. Then we'd drive back to base, and he'd butch it up right before we got to the gates. My switch is a little more subtle. Depending on where I am, I'll mimic your accent. I grew up overseas. My mom's a military brat, so my accent started out a little continental. And I'd hit every consonant like it owed me for tea. It did not play well in an Amarillo high school. Amarillo, Texas, as far as I know, we're famous. We made the national news probably twice. A year after I graduated, this kid, his name was Brian Deneke, he was a punk, he was a friend of my brother, and he was a sweet guy. And he got murdered by a rich kid with a Cadillac. A year later, we sued Oprah. Those two are not related. But Amarillo is flat, and it's dry, and it's segregated, and outsiders are outsiders. So I learned the drawl, which didn't help at all because I'm still a lesbian. The Air Force was a little bit easier. Being a lesbian is a bonus in the military, and we like uniforms. Until you get a little bit lazy about the code switching, and too many people find out you're a lesbian. So I moved here to DC, and eventually I got a job as a cable tech, and I got to practice code switching in people's houses all day long. But I started to see something interesting. We'd knock on doors all day long, and there's a very different way that men and women will answer a door. A woman will open it just a crack if she hasn't already questioned you through the peephole first, and once she feels reasonably safe, she'll open it and step aside. Guys will just fling the door open and stand there, come what may. It's the difference in how we view our bodies. For men, their body itself is a defense. For women, our bodies are what we're trying to defend. But there's also a difference in the way we approach doorways. I noticed it when I rode out with guys. They'd knock on a door, or one of their favorite stunts was to bang on it like they were a cop. And then they'd just stand there, waiting for an angry dog, escaping toddler, or whoever they just pissed off by banging on the door like they were serving a fucking warrant. And I had to tell them, it's not safe. It's jarring to open a door, first of all, and just see someone's nostrils. And I didn't tell them knock like a girl, but I did tell them knock and then take a couple steps back like a girl. It's a little thing, but that's one dog you didn't catch with your face, or one angry person you didn't terrify today. I'd ride out with guys and I'd have to tell them, Jesus, don't comment on the way a woman looks. Are you serious right now, Greg? Because somehow he'd reached the age of 30 without realizing how awkward that can feel, or how scary. I'm a lesbian. I know I can't comment on the way a woman looks, not a stranger, without risking my safety. But more than that, I'm a woman. And I know how uncomfortable it can feel. The guys I never had to say anything to were the black guys I worked with. Black guys aren't allowed to have bad days at work. They're not allowed to have bad days in public. It doesn't matter if a guy's dog died last night or his girlfriend just dumped him. If you pass him on the street, he has to smile to show you he's safe. He's not a threat. And black men don't have to be told to step back from a door after they knock, because they know the door can be answered with a gun, or not at all until the cops arrive. And black men have to be happy, slowly, calmly, very happy to see the cops too. But straight white men, as far as I can tell, we never learned how to code switch. Pretend I didn't just tell you that I'm a gay woman. Pretend I'm still one of you. I don't think we've ever learned how to code switch. We're safe. We don't feel like threats. Some of us are so used to not being seen as threats that while 40,000 of our neighbors are murdered every single year, we're carrying guns. There's a mass shooting every weekend. And where I live in Texas, and really probably all across the country, straight white men are sticking Glock and AR-15 decals to the back of their trucks. Walmart had to ban people from carrying guns because while the rest of us are justifiably terrified of straight white men with guns, straight white guys seem to think the answer is more guns. Everyone's paying very close attention to their surroundings, making sure no one is threatened by us. And we're oblivious to the very real threat we represent. I used to run. I don't anymore. I walk a dog who's too lazy to do that most days. But a couple months ago, I was walking my dog, and a woman ran up to us like we were old friends. And I played along because I'm really bad with faces, and I work in a bar. Who knows? But it turns out she didn't know me at all. She was running, and a guy had been running behind her for blocks. She didn't want to run home because no one was home. So she saw me, a person with a dog, and figured I was a safe bet. And we walked home to my house, and I drove her home later. And odds are that guy had no idea what he was doing. He had no idea he just terrified a young woman. But we all read the stories about a jogger who went missing. And all he had to do was notice, turn around, pass her, slow down, take a different turn. But he didn't, because it didn't occur to him that he could be threatening. It probably doesn't occur to him that she'll quit running. She'll just decide it's not worth the risk, and she'll miss it. It's scarier at night. Where I used to work in Austin, the shortest route to University of Texas from Dirty Six, where all the students go to test out their fake IDs, was right up our street. And I'd watch it happen. Inevitably, a girl or a group of girls would come wobbling up the street in their heels at 2 o'clock in the morning, right about the time a pack of drunk frat guys decided to make a run for the light. And I'd watch in case something happened, but nothing did. Even most drunk frat guys aren't dangerous creeps. We all know some are, though. Except them, because no one's going to call the cops. If the cops show up, no one's going to get shot. And all it would take is what the rest of us have to do, is slow down, give people space, announce your friendly presence. But they don't, because they don't know that they're the threat. Ask any woman you know, and she'll tell you stories about a guy who stands in the hallway or the stairwell or the dreaded enclosed space of an elevator and just stares. or stares at the spot right above your head. I can't do it. Black guys certainly can't do it. We actually share a tactic in elevators. We'll smile. We ask if it's still raining out. We ask which floor. We try to make sure that we're not the dangerous creep standing in an elevator. We code switch. Everyone's doing it. Every gay person, every immigrant, every person of color, and it's fucking exhausting. And maybe I'm so invested in this because I keep getting mistaken for one of you. And it's most glaring when I walk into a bathroom. Depending on who's in there, it's scary. So I'll pause and I'll take a breath before I even touch the door. And I'll stand up straight and make sure someone notices my boobs inside. And once I'm in the stall, I'm okay. If someone's washing her hands, I'll wait for her to leave. And then I hope I make it to the door before someone else walks in. But I never know what's on the other side of the door. It's usually no one. Sometimes it's the store manager. Sometimes it's a cop. One time it was a group of Alabama rednecks waiting to kick the shit out of the pervert. And they did. And I don't know if I'll ever feel safe in a public bathroom. But it would help if you guys who look an awful lot like me would code switch just a little. And maybe one day we can all be a little less afraid of one another. That is the end.